Okay, welcome. My name is Paul. I'm going to be hosting this bonfire today. It's all about being a brave teacher in the current system. Just to give you a bit of context about why you're all sitting around the bonfire and why we've called it that. We really like this idea of bonfires being a place where we bring community together, we find warmth, and we share stories. And from those stories, we learn who we are, what we are, and where we're going. And we felt it was really important to ensure that we brought people who are actually in classrooms, in schools every single day to speak about their experiences. And so we've sort of handpicked these three amazing educators who today are going to tell their stories about what it means to be brave. Each of them are going to speak for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we're going to open it up for questions. I'm going to be taking some notes and I'm going to try and spot for any themes that seem to be emerging. I would encourage you all to do the same. And then, yeah, for a good sort of 15, 20 minutes, we are going to have a big Q&A session. So get your questions prepared. Please use the chat box. It's really useful to figure out what the rest of the community are thinking. And I am now going to introduce you to a woman that I have known for about 4 years now. She's an amazing head teacher in a primary school in Glasgow, which I'm sure she will tell you all about herself. Kathleen, are you there and are you ready?
I am, Paul, yeah.
Okay, I know she's got a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll just let her get that set up. And then it's over to you.
Okay. I think I just share it first, is that right? Share screen. Okay, can everybody see it? Yeah. Hi, my name is Kathleen. I am, as Paul said, a head teacher in the East End of Glasgow, in a very large school. We have nearly 500 children, and they have a range of backgrounds and a range of barriers to their learning. And we love every one of them, although some days it's more difficult to show it than other days. In the PowerPoint, hopefully you can see an image that I found last week that actually really resonated with me. I don't know if it's something to do with the badly cut hair, it might be that. But this human being looking out into the distance, and it's such a bright future. It really hit home to me. Even though the foreground can be quite dark, the glory that is going on in the future is very worthwhile. I feel our school vision is like that. Our journey started 14 years ago. It's a very long story that you don't need to know all the ins and outs, but our vision has become clearer with time, and our vision is at the bottom of all that we do. It's our energy, it's what powers us. And our vision is about transformation. And more and more and more, our butterflies are coming in and around the school. We actually have two bases in our school. One is called the Caterpillar Room, where younger children who are still to develop all that they need come in. And then we have the Butterfly Room at the end of the process, where we are communicating and collaborating with partners and families to really watch our children transform and grow. And a lot of what we do goes on in the chrysalis in the middle. And I had just said there as we came in, the change happens in there, the transformation happens in there. A lot of it is hidden, it can't be forced, no one can make you change. You have to create the right environment for the caterpillar to want to change. It has to believe it can change, and you have to feed it enough for it to, the process to work. And then you stand back and you watch what happens next. Our vision has shaped our values. This is our school values. It was drawn by one of our primary 7 children, and actually it says all you need to know about St Rose of Lima Primary School. We are a Catholic school, and we base our values on our Catholic values. In the stem going up to the rose is the global goals, which actually sit beautifully with our Catholic values. The 4 leaves are the curriculum for excellence, which fuels Scotland's education system. The rose is where it all happens, is our community, where we are all together finding a way to move forward in the world. We have got 3 school rules down the side: safe, ready and respect. We do take notice of the curriculum, but I'll maybe say a wee bit more about that later. It's not what drives us. We have our In the Sun, we have our skills for the 21st century, which leads our learning, and we have nurture around us all the time. So it's a beautiful image of our school. While we were looking to change, we found this recipe for change, and much of what we do is powered by this. It's hard to ask people to change and then say over to you. You need a plan, you need steps for a hint, you need someone scaffolding your learning. We have the most incredible staff, and we have a team of a community around us. We have supporters, we have volunteers, we have partners, and everybody is here to help our children transform into virtuous adults. And it's a hard journey, and some days we all need support. And this image of change, this recipe for change, helped us support each other to grow and change. How did we convince people that change was necessary? Because ultimately you need to believe change is necessary before you look for it. Oh, hang on, I've lost the point here. We listen to staff as they speak. We encourage them to air their views, even if it's not something that we want to hear. Some of the ways that we're brave is that we listen to the criticism. We allow the criticism. We allow the fears to come out. We speak to staff in small groups. We find that more beneficial rather than a whole staff meeting where sometimes you just hear the loudest voices. So we meet in smaller groups. We allow people to share their fears and their worries. We are aware that everybody doesn't always agree, and we would be living in an ideal world if everybody agreed. We do have dissenters. We have people who need to be convinced. We spend a good bit of our time hugging a cactus or two, and we find that by being brave and getting in between people who are maybe sometimes prickly, sometimes for a very good reason. People are coming to work in a very different, very difficult world and a very difficult environment, and it's all right to be prickly. And what we find is sometimes the acupuncture improves what we do and makes us better, and we can all move on and embrace the change. So we're quite happy to hug a cactus now and again. We evangelise. We talk about what we believe and we explain why we believe it. And more people in our school community are talking about the same thing. We found that very powerful. We do need to be brave because everybody doesn't agree, but we are very convinced that what we believe is true. We also model it. We model our behaviours, we model our actions, and we model our rhetoric. And what we find is people start to speak those words back to us, and we hear those ideas growing within our community. And what we believe makes a difference is nurture. And nurture is about finding a safe base. It's about developing that sense of self-esteem and self-worth. It's about looking at the behaviours and working out the communication of the adults as well as the children, and that's why we give teachers a chance to talk. We think we're quite brave because we often have a different view from other people, and we like to sit back and get the different perspective. But no matter what we're looking at, I love this, no matter what we look at, nurture is what we see, and then we see what else is round about it. So that creates our perspective no matter what the environment or what's going on for us. Nurture is key to all that we do. A great man once said, you don't have to lie to me, just give me some tenderness. We work with many, many people who are brave enough to come to school every day, despite what they may be coping with at home. And the last thing they need is for us to be brutal in our message. Laura works with us. I hope Laura would agree that we are honest with staff, we are honest with partners, we are honest with volunteers, but with that honesty comes a tenderness, because you don't need to break people. And if you are wanting that change, you need to give them time and space, and you need to create the right environment for this growth to come about. So we believe in tenderness with our honesty. We want to grow fabulous teachers, and we want to grow fabulous professionals who feel nurtured, who feel that their ideas is important, who will take our school community to places that me alone can't even imagine. And I see very much that my job and the job of my management team is to water the teachers as they grow and to make sure that they get everything they need to be the best educators that they can be. We work in a culture where, like poor old SpongeBob, many people don't know which way is up. You can listen to so many conflicting messages. It's really understandable that school professionals feel confused. In St Rose of Lima, or the Rosie as we like to be known, I feel we are very clear on the direction that we're going, and we are consistent with our message. We are about nurture, we're about transformation. We like to encourage people. There are usually lots of cups of tea on board as well, and we want to say to staff, children, parents, partners, go on, bring about the changes that you know are possible. We are here at your back, making it possible, giving you all the support and encouragement you need. We want our children and our adults to feel that they can fly. If they need a feather to believe it, we will give them the feather. When they believe it, we will just stand and enjoy their achievements. And I think it's really important that every human being in our community gets that same support and gets that same opportunity to fly. We believe we're brave in St Rose of Lima because everybody has a different role. The roles are valued. And if you don't do it, there'll be a bit of the machine won't work. Everybody's role is important. Everybody comes at it from a different angle. But together we create this community that works in this difficult environment. It works. We have nearly 500 children today. All our challenging children came to work, but there were 4 out of 500. So we believe that what we've put together is meeting the needs of our children. I think it's the only time in my professional life I've kept to the time that I've been allowed to talk. But I feel one of our brave decisions is to be part of this greater community. We could all go and be big fish in wee ponds, but we choose to be part of a whole, to be part of a network, to be not the leader of everything, not the boss of everything, but to be an integral part that makes this glorious entity called St Rose of Lima grow and travel to places that we can't go on our own, and it's really worthwhile. And I'll stop talking now.
Thank you, Kathleen. That was amazing. I've got lots of questions I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to save it because we've got another two presenters that we're going to hear from. So the next person, Laura, has decided to make a video. Laura, do you want to introduce this film, or will I just put it on? I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, sorry, my mic was off. I'll introduce it.
Brilliant.
So, hi everyone, my name is Laura Kerr. I am at the same school as Kathleen. I have just come out my probationary year. I had a wonderful time. So I've created a short film. I was speaking over it about my journey last year and talking about the present as well. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you, Paul, if you can share it for me.
Okay, hopefully this will work.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Kerr and I have just completed my probation year with Glasgow City Council. I had a wonderful year and I'm delighted to be back working with the council, and I'm at the same school as well. So I'm currently in St Rose of Lima with a primary 5 class. I've always been passionate for teaching and working and interacting with children, so it's the perfect job for me. It's a privilege to be invited to present to you all today and to share my journey and my experiences. So sit back, grab a hot drink and I hope you enjoy. First of all, I would never class myself as being brave. I believe I'm being brave presenting to you all today. However, when I do reflect and look back at the impact on some of my experiences, I'm like, oh wow, I was really brave to do that. My best advice is just to go for it, trust yourself and do it. Have no fear. The experiences and outcomes can be amazing. As a new teacher entering the school with many amazing professionals, it was quite daunting. Everything seems new and it's all the unknown. It's a brave thing to do, starting a new career and job, worrying about what can happen. I did worry. I had so many what ifs, having to become familiar with procedures, policies, systems, routines and other things. But when I was in the classroom with my pupils, that feeling of fear went away, and it was an incredible feeling to be learning and teaching with them. This picture explains it. It's taken from the film Inside Out. My joyfulness was taking over my fear. Of course you have ups and downs. We all do. I've had a few lessons and days I thought, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. But admitting that didn't go okay, that's being brave. I just picked up where I left and carried on instead of going back to the drawing board and starting again. By being brave and enthusiastic, I was able to complete my probationary year. I was able to build up confidence, personal resilience and develop self-awareness. I believe communication is vital for any teacher. It is so important we communicate with each other, our colleagues, our management, other schools, external agencies, the children, the families, the school and the wider community. And that's what I made sure of when completing my probation year, and I still continue to do this. It is so important we speak to people and ask for help when needed. It's important for our well-being as well that we go to people for support. I had an amazing support from all these people that I've mentioned. We need to work together to cater the children's needs. One of my biggest achievements during my probation year was taking 100 school children to a football game. By trusting myself and letting go of that fear, I did it. I was thinking it could all go wrong, but taking that risk was worth it. I worked with the Kano Foundation to achieve this, having to organise it all, communicate with my management team, the staff, the children, the families, taking consideration of the risk assessment, medical care, procedures and many other things. The impact on those children and families was just unbelievable. A child actually brought her dad's camera from when he was younger, and she took pictures and she was just so excited to go home to show him her experience. It was amazing. Not only did I create relationships with my class, but I was building relationships with classes in schools. I was building relationships with their families, and I was also building relationships with the wider community. It was just amazing, and some children had never experienced a football game, so to give them that opportunity was just incredible. When listening to the children, that is being brave. I often ask myself, what do they need from me to be successful? What do they need from me to achieve? What do the children need from me to achieve those 4 capacities? I had a new child starting the school, therefore I was adamant that I would give this child whatever they needed. As I have previously mentioned, communication is key, as well as bravery. I spoke to my senior management team, I asked advice from external agencies, I contacted the previous school, I communicated with family, and I communicated with that child. By doing all this, I was able to create a safe space for this child. This child mentioned and took an interest in pirates, therefore I created a treasure box which was filled with sensory objects like sand, coins, a map, Play-Doh, and this child was also given a nurture box. I was able to meet those child's needs, and they achieved so many things by implementing all these things. My advice is go with your gut feeling, do what you think is right for that child and the children. From then, I value the children's voices. Due to COVID and lockdown, I admit I did just struggle to adapt to new ways of teaching and learning and communicating. I felt at my comfort zone at times, but has been an eye-opener and has now created so many wonderful opportunities. As the world changes, so must we in what we do. I think to myself, what can I do to get children in the door and make them feel safe? The answer is nurture their needs and let them talk. I believe it's so important to value the children's voices, listen to them, let them make decisions on their education. That's been brave. I have become a leader rather than a controller. Pupils can be so empowered to learn for themselves in a flexible, collaborative way inside and outside the classroom. The children are still getting assessed, but encountering new experiences and opportunities to get to those outcomes. Our school decided to have a Feel Good Friday every last Friday of the month, when children decide what makes them feel good and we agree a plan together. In this picture on the slides, it shows a timetable children created. We did lots of things that they wanted to do. We had origami as one of our things, which I learned how to make a fish. The children's faces when they taught me something, it was amazing. The value of learning outdoors has grown significantly. When I was at school, going outdoors was magical for me. The children have decided they would like to be outdoors more, so that's what we've been doing. I'm so lucky that I'm in a school that has great outdoor space. The learning I've seen taking place outside is amazing. We've been using the Blair Vaddock outdoor learning activities, and we started doing the virtual West Highland Way today. And there's so many opportunities for IDL. I always thought learning took place in a classroom, but I was wrong. It can take place anywhere. The children also have a passion for global learning and caring for our community environment. I must say, being brave, letting go, trialling new ideas, I am learning with my children, and I have accepted I don't need to know everything. Thanks very much for listening to my journey and ideas of bravery. I would just like to finish off with a quote I love. What if I fall? Oh, but what if you fly? I think of this all the time making decisions, and if I have any fear. I actually thought of this for today. Thanks again.
Amazing, Laura. Again, there's loads of stuff to talk about, which we're going to talk about at the end. But and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but for such a young teacher into the profession, it is incredible how you are confident enough to say statements such as "I was wrong, I struggled, I don't know how to do this." We need that type of bravery all throughout our system, and if we do, we start to see things change. Okay, leader, not controller. Super. Okay, last but not least, Louise is going last because she was running home from school or driving. I'm not sure what you were doing, but is Louise there?
Yep, I'm here.
Louise,
go ahead and share.
Yeah. Have you got your video and everything? If you need it, give us a shout.
I've got everything, as long as it all just goes ahead.
Beautiful. Yeah, we'll hand it over to you.
Superb. Okay. We are going to skip on. Here we go. Hi, so my name's Louise Scott-McKie, and my journey is a little bit different from Kathleen's and Laura's, although Laura and I have both crossed paths in the past. So I was a teacher for 10 years. I then went to work in initial teaching education for a little bit. Very much missed working in the classroom and working with children. And so this past summer I was preparing to go back to work in school, and at the moment I'm a principal teacher in Glasgow. But as I was preparing to go back, I was very much thinking, a lot of what Kathleen was talking about resonated. This idea of having a different perspective. Working outside of a school had given me some interesting perspectives, and there was a lot of that I didn't want to lose. And one of the really transformative things that I did was last summer when I did the Creative Changemakers summer school with Paul's company and with the National Galleries in Edinburgh. And what I found at that point was I came across all these really like-minded individuals that I was sort of going, oh, I found my tribe, people that question things and that are really keen to do things that are genuinely resonant for their pupils and their children, even if that is sometimes at odds with what Education Scotland or experiences and outcomes might be saying to us. And I very much thought, I don't want to lose this when I go back in, but also B, I thought we all then scattered to our corners of the country, and while we have each other's email addresses, we don't have enough chance to kind of touch base again. So through the AOB conversations that I know some of you will have been part of, across, now I've got months for those now, I think probably March, April, May, June, I can't quite remember now. There was a lot of these kind of discussions came about, and for me I very much thought about creating a manifesto. Now, gone too far. Now, I recognise this one, I have created one that's a bit more accessible, but this is my manifesto. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about why I did that and what the content was. So don't worry if you can't read it right now, because I'll share a little video that Geraldine, who was also part of those conversations, has made using that manifesto. And even the messiness of that was really important to me, because a big part of what I kind of firmly believe about learning and about teaching is that it is not always this nicely boxed package that has a very clear beginning and end. So even the vision behind that was important for me to remind myself of. But I really wanted to be clear before I went back in of like, why do I teach in the first place? I'd seen lots of people, obviously from students, coming in and really having this real strong feeling of want to make a difference. I then had also worked with lots of teachers who'd become very jaded by the system. I knew that I myself had, before I moved into ITE, I wasn't desperate to leave the classroom, but I also felt at that point I was very frustrated and I was a bit disillusioned. So I really wanted to go back to that, why do I teach? And I started to think about that and jot down kind of notes and statements. I also thought very much in this language of this kind of moment for change, what is it that I stand for? Why am I doing this? Am I going in just to become another cog in a huge machine that I sometimes agree with and at other times don't? Or is there something else that I feel I'm called to do? And that then really led, as I think it does for lots of us as teachers, to this question of who am I? And that's the part where it became brave for me, because as I created a very rough draft of this, I had the opportunity to share it through the AOB, but that did feel almost like quite a naked moment of saying, okay, here's what I think I'm doing, and really being a bit worried that maybe that's not going to resonate with anyone else. Maybe others will say, oh, that's very nice, but that's not why I'm here. So that felt like the first kind of brave part of it. And then with the support of people in the AOB and those kind of what next conversations, that helped me shape this into something else. So the process for me was just about those conversations helping to inform my own idea of this kind of short manifesto. Paul then pushed me to keep asking why. Is it just a manifesto? Why am I doing this? Why? What is this for? Why? And that drove me to recognise that yes, this manifesto I needed for me to remind me, but I also very much wanted something where we have a kind of space for lots of teachers and educators more broadly who are doing brave things or interesting things or things that are slightly outside the box to come and share and support one another and try and create that sense of agency. Because what I've been part of and what I've noticed even going into schools, there are far too many lone wolves out there, too many people who in their little classroom corner do absolutely fabulous work, but they feel like they're on their own doing it. They're always the hand in the room saying, but what about this? Or, oh, have we thought about that? And not everyone is lucky enough to work under a leader like Kathleen or, Claire Harkins, who we've met before and so on. Not everyone is lucky enough to be in that position. So how can we kind of create a little bit of community around that so people do feel like they're not alone? Maybe almost like a virtual staff room where people can periodically have conversations or share ideas, or even to some extent think about what's able to be done within the structures that we have. I then kind of used the theory of change structure just really to help me pin down my ideas about where this was going, what ideally I would like to come from this, as well as my own assumptions. And then through some of the people that were in those conversations, helped to flesh that out. And then really from there, it's been about having more great conversations around it. And so who are we? It's not very big just now, I have to say, partly because I've started back at school, I am incredibly busy, and it's about kind of getting some of this off the ground again. So I definitely would count myself in this collective, if you like. What I would say is the people who I have been on board and involved in conversations so far, they're not really bringing an ego to the table. They have genuine interest in looking at how we can make change that's really positive for the young people we work with. That doesn't mean we don't ever disagree, but it does mean that we're coming at it not with our own agendas and to try and kind of maintain our position. And I've borrowed this phrase marigolds from an ex-colleague of mine. She talks a lot about, now I am not a horticulturist, so I can't confirm or deny this, but she talks about how marigolds are often a plant that help others to grow. And I thought, ideally, this is what this would be. We would be each other's marigolds and have this kind of situation where we help inspire one another, where we help give some agency to one another, where we help support and share ideas. And I guess the icons that I put on as I was thinking, because teachers, yes, absolutely would be part of this, but I don't want it to be so exclusive, because a lot of the kind of artist educators, to use a very loose term, that I've had conversations with, have so much to bring to the table. Community education practitioners have so much to bring to the table. Those who work in early years staff have so much to bring to the table. Parents and others in the community have so much to bring to the table, and they need to be a really vital part of that conversation, and in a space where they feel like they can be really honest about that. And my kind of crazy post-it note picture is more just, I would like anyone on board who has, even just like I often do, half-formed ideas about where you'd like to go and piece that together. Because what I've really found is that by sharing it with other people, it helps to flesh it into something a little bit bigger and more concrete. At the moment, we have some social media platforms that I do need to grow and do something with, but that'll be the next brave step for me. But what I'm going to show you now is this little manifesto video that Geraldine Heaney really kindly did a great job of putting, certainly my version of the manifesto together. I should maybe just say about that manifesto, there's a reason I haven't put my name to it, and it's because I am happy for people to take chunks of that, to adapt it, to make their own manifestos out of it. If it serves your purpose, by all means use it in its own form, but it's very much, I don't really want it to be mine. Yes, it started from here, but please take it and do what you wish with it. So this was Geraldine's interpretation of it, and I think she's done a great job of capturing what I was looking for in it. Let me check. Can you see the video? Someone give me a thumbs up? Yeah, okay, great.
Brave Teacher Manifesto. I am here to plant seeds and water them, knowing that I will not always see them bloom. I am not here to create brains to be carried in jars at the expense of being real and alive. When the master's tools no longer serve this, it is my duty to create something better. I am also here to light fires and not to be afraid of their brightness or ferocity. I am here to get it right, not to be right. People matter. Always listen, especially when you don't like the answer. A class is a living, breathing thing. Allow it to do both. Leave room for life and joy and questions and mess. This is learning. Be brave about being human. You are not perfect. the world changes, so must my work. Rules are suggestions and truth is subjective. Curiosity is unruly and standard progression is fiction. Do the best you can today with what you've got, but keep moving in the direction of better. Small steps taken in the right direction will get you there more surely than one giant leap. Keep moving. Be brave. You are not alone.
Okay, I'll pause up there and I'll try to go back to where I was. Yeah, this needs to go there yet. There we go. Can you all see that yet? That's us here. And so from there, essentially we have a couple of different platforms that I'm planning to use as a method of people to share and communicate. I guess for today, what I'd say is if anyone has great suggestions or things that they want me to populate those kind of sites with, then feel free to email at that Gmail address and I'll certainly pass it on. And the last question I really had, I realised Paul was going to do a Q&A, but I thought just even to ponder what would it look like if every school had some brave teachers in it? How might that change what we do and what would that look like? That's me, Paul.
Thanks, Louise. I love that you've hijacked the Q&A session as well.
This
To start my question.
is what happens when you skim read your emails really quickly.
It's good, it's great. Thanks, Louise, that was amazing. The video was just like so inspiring and the words are beautiful. I feel like watching Baz Luhrmann's Sunscreen like back in the 90s. It sort of takes me back to that moment where you go, yeah, this is it, this is what we're talking about, and it's just so, I don't know, beautiful. We need to keep moving. I'm going to wrap this up by saying thank you to our speakers, Laura, Louise and Kathleen. Stephanie has put out this call that she would like to continue this conversation. She wants to talk more about this idea of being a brave teacher and connect to the Brave Teacher Collective. So she's put her email address there. Let's keep building this. As I end, I will start. No, as I end is the way that I will start. As I started. The bonfire was chosen to build community, and we build community by keeping these things going. We leave this bonfire, we should all take a stick that's lit, and we walk back into our own worlds and we continue these conversations with that as the cat or who we live with or our school or parents or whoever. That this conversation has to continue, and we've got a whole other week left of these amazing inspirational conversations. So thank you again, thank you everyone who came along. I would encourage you to go to the session that starts at 5. We've got another one at 6 and 7 as well tonight, and we will be back again tomorrow for more bonfires in our beautiful festival field. Thank you all for coming along, and I will see you later. Thank you.